And a very good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Hockey Night on Broad Flyers pregame show. Tonight, the Philadelphia Flyers play host to the Colorado Avalanche and meeting for the first time this season. Thanks again for joining me tonight. I am your host, James Scorza, as the Flyers are back home for the second of 5 games on the road. On the home slate, especially coming up in the next couple of weeks or so for the Flyers. Looking to try to win 3 straight tonight as the Orange and Black coming in tonight winning 3 straight. And like we always do on this program here, it's time to check out our recap of the previous game for the Orange and Black. And like I mentioned, as the Flyers has come as basically coming out into the game on Saturday is one of the most maybe bizarre wins of the season for the Orange and Black. But on Saturday night, it was maybe the best game that the Flyers had all season. As we check into the first period, the Flyers at the point were scoreless throughout the first period until the last couple minutes of the first period. And coming close to as the period was coming to an end, the Flyers will get a power play goal, and that will be the ultimate icebreaker for the Orange and Black as the puck was jammed in many times, and also a puck jammed in by Tyson Foerster to give the Flyers an early 1-0 lead, and it will not stay that way that long for the Orange and Black because 2 minutes later, after the Flyers had a goal to make it 1-0, around the 4-minute mark of the first period, an absolute laser by Travis Sanheim, who has been on a tear as of lately, beating Devin Levi, the goaltender for the Sabres, to give the Flyers a 2-0 lead after 20. To the second period we go as the Flyers on top 2-0 and looked like the same as it was in the first period. And 2 minutes into the 2 minutes into the second period, the Flyers will get another one of those weird kind of goals to start the season. I mean, it's been happening all season, so it happened once again on Saturday night, like I mentioned. And a bouncer that found the stick of Yegor Zamora and basically shooting off the stick, literally off the stick of a Buffalo defender, beating Devin Levi to give the Flyers the 3-0 lead early on in the second. Later on in the period, the Flyers will come close to a chance. The Sabres will get a chance of an opportunity until the shot was blocked by a Flyers defender, leading away to a breakaway by Matvei Michkov to set up Travis Konechny to give another goal for the Flyers to make sure the Cushion's now a 4-score lead, and now they have scored two goals in a matter of the first and second period, now lead 4-0 after 40 minutes in the books. As the Flyers had a 4-0 lead, as the Flyers had all that throughout the game until the halfway point into the third, as the Sabres will get on the board as they break the shutout and made a 4-1 Flyers lead, and they will score one more to basically what happened was that the Sabres will get another goal here to make it 4-2, but the Flyers will seal it on an empty net by TK to give the Flyers a 5-2 solid win over Buffalo. For the first time this maybe in a while since I said a regulation win for the Flyers as they took it 5-2 over the Buffalo Sabres. And setting the stage for tonight's game between the Flyers taking on the Colorado Avalanche, as we check out our key matchups of the game for this game tonight for the Flyers and Colorado. Like I said, it's the first game between the Flyers and Avalanche this season, so the presence for the Flyers has been basically the last few games have been one of probably the best thing to happen to this Flyers club was the big story is their power play, like I mentioned early on in my shows early on in this 3-game road trip. This 3-game homestand. And right away, the Flyers are continuing to make sure it happens once again this time around. As Mitch Kofsky joins our show saying, "Let's go Flyers." What's going on, Mitch? How you been? Thanks for chiming into the show. We really do appreciate it. But the Flyers, like I said, coming in tonight looking to have a better opportunity about the outside looking in. For the second time tonight, the Flyers will be playing a team that is 500 going along the way as they took on a 500 Buffalo Sabre club on Saturday. There was another 500 club that they took on with Ottawa on Thursday night, if I forgot put that on my list too. So this will be another 500 team for the Flyers tonight to take on. So, like I mentioned, Colorado is a good team, but they have some decimated injuries along the way. Like I mentioned, that they are 500 this year. But for Colorado, after capturing the third Stanley Cup in a matter of 3 years for the first time since 2001, when we all remember what happened in that Stanley Cup, when that was the last time Ray Bourque captured a Stanley Cup. And like, if you've never seen that video, I would advise everybody to check it out. It was really cool. I remember Jonathan Toews doing that to our great Flyers defenseman Kimmo Timonen, and after the Blackhawks won their third straight Stanley Cup, and it's basically like, I call it the Ray Bourque rule. Like, basically, if you've seen somebody hasn't seen a Stanley Cup in so long, they give it to somebody that really needs it the most. I think the Flyers lost the Stanley Cup to the Blackhawks that same time, and also I think it was Marian Host again, the Cup second. But it's always like a NHL tradition, if anybody doesn't know the real circumstance of it is. But I call it the Ray Bourque rule because that's what happened when Joe Sakic passed the cup to Ray Bourque. But I know that's a long time ago. But before we go any further, like I mentioned, Colorado is a team that is looking to try to get back an edge after key injury, and now seeing some players left and right go down with injuries. Obviously, that's going to be the big key tonight. So they're now looking like the team that was like they were back 3 years ago, as they took on very good. They have been Stanley Cup playoff contenders for a while, but I think this year they just like look like they lost a step or something like that. So, that's going to be the biggest key I take out of it tonight more than anything and for the players to watch tonight, this is going to be the biggest key that I've been talking about all game long. It's either Travis Konecny or Travis Sanheim, both coming into the game red hot. I think the one thing they looked very well the last couple of games is that they have looked very well on that power play. So I advise the same here tonight for both Travis Konecny and Travis Sanheim. The Travis is kind of like if you know what I mean, like thin one and thin two if you've never seen that. But the good news is that Travis Sanheim and Travis Konecny have been on a tear lately, so that's a good thing to have more than anything like that. But let's go into who's trending up and who is trending down. And I gotta say right now, the trending up for the Flyers has been a real positive, as even though they have some games that they are in regulation and sometimes like I mentioned on Saturday night, it was a regulation win for the Orange and Black, and sometimes over regulation after 65 minutes or even 60 minutes trying to win the game, but they always get the 2 points out of it. That's the thing I take out of it more than anything. So for me, I think that's going to be the one that's going to be trending up tonight to see what Colorado will look like. Obviously, you look at Colorado, they are decimated with injuries. Obviously, they lost Gabriel Landeskog. I think they lost their goaltender along the way. I don't know. The presence of Nathan MacKinnon has been a factor in this game. He scores goals. That's the thing I take out of it, too. Cale Makar, I don't know. I haven't heard much about Cale Makar this season. And the same thing with Nathan MacKinnon. But I think the biggest, like I said, and I'll do this with my who's trending down topic, is that who would be the key factor in this game tonight. So for me, I think it's going to be who's trending up for the Flyers. I think it's going to be, like I said, the mentioning of Travis Konecny and Travis Sanheim, they've been just red hot on the power play, and that even straight goals have really been a key for this Flyers club as they go into tonight's game against Colorado. For who's trending down, well, there's not a lot to be trending down for the Flyers, but there's always one guy that's going to be giving us a little bit of a headache, kind of like what Malcolm Celebrini did a couple nights ago against the Flyers when they were up pretty big against San Jose. So it's the presence of Mikhail Rantanen. So Mikhail Rantanen's one guy that's been basically that has the same season as Travis Konecny, but has 12 goals on the season and 13 assists. So basically keep a close eye out tonight for Mikko Rantanen. I advise everybody to check out a lot of Colorado players on this team. I think I can see Nathan MacKinnon will be a guy who's been trending down because he's been, I wouldn't say disappointing, but at the same time, he's been having an off season. The same thing with Cale Makar. But they always have like I said, Mikhail Rantanen, and I think they just brought back I forget his name, Natushkin. He just came back off of absence, so it's good to see him as well. So that's going to be it. But the big factor of the game, who's going to be trending down tonight. to keep a close eye on who's going to be an X factor for Colorado, I expect it'll be Mikko Rantanen along the way. As before we go any further, if you guys have a chance to comment on the show, by all means. I mean, we are on YouTube and Twitch tonight. I'm trying to see what's going on with Facebook, but please forgive me if you didn't see the Facebook post earlier. It's been kind of a busy day. I've just been doing some stuff with other stuff in between. So if you guys want to say, let's go Flyers, I mean, by all means. I mean, it's just, that's the thing about it. Like I said, we're on social media. So if you want to chime into the show, you can always chime into the show. But like a lot of things on the rise, so a lot of things will be coming along the way. All right, let's check out who's not playing in this game tonight for the injuries and scratches for the Orange and Black. Kind of like the same thing that happened on Saturday night against the Sabres. Like I mentioned in the open, like I mentioned the last couple games, Jamie Drysdale still out with an upper body injury. Cam York still on IR with an upper body. This was a surprise when I looked it up today. Emil Andre, the defenseman that the Flyers brought up from the Lehigh Valley Phantoms, he is out tonight due to a mid-body injury. I don't know what that circumstances is. If anybody can try to tell me what a mid-body is, I know it's a upper body or lower body. Hopefully he'll be back for the next game or so. And the good news is that we'll see Alexei Kolosov back in action tonight after missing some data. He was day-to-day, rather, with some injuries himself. So that will be good to know for the Flyers tonight in this game tonight to take on Colorado. And they brought a backup tonight. I don't know who it was to replace Ivan Fedota. I wouldn't be sure. I mean, they brought Sam Ersson. They put Sam Ersson. That's right. They put Sam Ersson on injury reserve. And they got Ivan Fedotov and now Alexei Kolosov as the backup. So he'll be back in goal tonight for the Flyers. Like I mentioned, I'll mention in my goaltender matchup. But kind of strange they brought another goaltender up. Maybe it's the emergency goaltender. Maybe you can do that probably going back to like it was probably like the taxi squad like they had during COVID. So I would be sure about that too. All right, so let's get into what's going to happen. Let's check out who's our starting goaltenders tonight for the Flyers. Like I mentioned, in goal tonight for the Orange and Black will be Alexei Kolosov back in goal tonight for the Flyers as the last time he played, I guess it was a game against the Carolina Hurricanes. The last time he played before Carolina, I would be sure it was against Tampa Bay, but he left the game with an injury. Like I said, I didn't see that game because it was on ESPN+, but the last regulation the last regulation performance for Alexei Kolosov was around a couple weeks ago when I think it was against Carolina, and he has not gotten a goal. He hasn't gotten a lot of, obviously he won't score a goal because he's a goaltender, but you never know. But for the Flyers, Alexei Kolosov, like I mentioned, back in goal tonight for the Flyers. He is 0-3-0 this season with a 3.2 goals against average and looking for his first win on the season. That will be very, very good for the Flyers tonight, especially for them to get off to finally give Kolosov his first win in the National. For the Colorado Avalanche, this is going to be a barn burner for me to try to get this guy's name right, but it's just Justus Onanen. Onanen. I think it's Onanen. I mean, if anybody could tell me who the goaltender is for Colorado, I really would appreciate it. I'm not good with these kind of tongue twisters, especially with goaltenders. But anyways, he is 5-3-0 this season with a 2.92 goals against average. So he's in goal tonight for the Colorado Avalanche. And they have basically been dealing with a lot of injuries with their goaltender front too. I know they put Alexander Georgiev in as I think he's on IR now for Colorado. So whoever this goaltender is for Colorado tonight is in goal tonight for the Avalanche, as like I mentioned, Alexei Kolosov in goal tonight for the Flyers. For my predictions, well, this is going to be probably a little bit easier said than done. I think this could be a very good win tonight for the Orange and Black to take on a team from Colorado that look to have the same part like they always do. So a regulation win will be nice, but this will be one game that you can probably win in overtime or in a shootout. Like I mentioned, Colorado is 500 on this season. And so the presence of Travis Sanheim and Travis Konecny been a real factor in this game the last couple of weeks, and I advised all the same here tonight. And for me, I would like to say who's going to be the guy. I'm going to go with the player of the game for the Flyers. I got to go with the hot hand. I got to go with Travis Konecny once again, and he's been red hot. I mean, I got to say right now, it's probably been fun to see Konecny, even Travis Sanheim for the first time in a long, long time being this red hot. I haven't seen a defenseman this red hot, probably going back to Shane Gostisbehere or maybe probably Ivan Provorov in his early years, but that's another story for another time. But before we go, that is a wrap for the Flyers pregame show. And like I always I always thank you for always joining me around the next 30 minutes before every Flyer. Join me every game before every Flyers game, 30 minutes before puck drops. So I will be back again on Wednesday night when the Flyers take on a Carolina team that they haven't won against in quite a while, and that's going to be the return of Ron Brendamore coming back to town, and his Hurricanes come to town as the Flyers. Right after that, we'll play Carolina, and they'll be playing again in matinee action to take on Connor Bedard and the Chicago Blackhawks. But before we go, I want to say thank you for everybody who were going to join us today, but thank you for listening and thank you for tuning in. And also, by all means, if you want to come out on the show, like I said, we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter. We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, we're on Twitch, sometimes on Twitter, depending on the situation. But until then, thanks a lot for joining me tonight. I'm James Scorza. Until then, we will see you next time.